At their training camp in the heart of Africa, these new recruits are learning their trade. The world calls them rebels. They call themselves the Movement for the Liberation of the Congo, the MLC. Their leader is a self-made millionaire, Jean-Pierre Bemba.
Bolingi ba respecter biso, ba respecter biso, il faut tous être capable bien moko, tous l'acte tozali capable, ya ko libérer mboka na biso.
Can the MLC liberate Congo? 2 years ago it didn't exist, but now Bemba and his movement are key players in Africa's most complex war. Every day, new recruits join the MLC, but no one is paid. Come for just one reason, according to one of Bemba's commanders.
The
MLC has existed for 2 years. At the beginning, it wasn't about numbers. They came even though they knew they wouldn't be paid. And they keep coming. If we gave you the numbers, you'd be impressed. They know they won't be paid, but they know there's freedom, so they keep coming.
Aren't enough funds, uniforms to go round. But from 150 volunteers at the start, Bemba, support of Uganda, has gathered, trained an army of 20,000. That's men, women, and children. 2 years into his rebellion, Bemba controls an area that side Germany. The Congo, the former Belgian colony, is Africa's third largest country. For 30 years it was run by one man, Mobutu Sese Seko. But in 1997, Mobutu was overthrown by Laurent Kabila by Rwanda. 1 year later, Rwanda withdrew its support from Kabila. The country collapsed into civil war. 6 African neighbors intervened, Uganda and Rwanda supporting rebel movements. Based in Equator province in the north, the youngest of these is the MLC, controlled by Jean-Pierre Bemba. Bemba proved as successful in politics as he once was business. In his brief life as a rebel leader, he has prized some 7 million Congolese away from government control. Today is the first anniversary of the liberation, as he calls it, of provincial capital, Badolit. Bemba is greeted like a head of state.
Le président du mouvement de libération du Congo, son Excellence, les détachements de la police est rangé de vous accueillir et vous rendre honneur à l'occasion du premier anniversaire de libération de Badolit.
Bemba's parents came from the province. His father was a highly successful businessman, closely associated with the old regime and all of its corruption. Now the son has come home, with the aim, he said, of leading the crusade against everything his own father stood for. What he might put in its place remains to be seen. Papa Bemba they sing, Papa Bemba, Baimutu, man of steel. According to Commandant Lembia, Bemba has already done the most important thing. He has given people liberty.
People know that President Bemba has no money to hand out. He hasn't promised to reconstruct the place in 3 years, do magic, walk on water, but he has given people back their liberty.
biso bana na bino tosenga bana pona nini. Il faut tozala capable biso moko soki lobi nzambe ye moko ayebi tant oyo ekokata mais boyeba ke fin de fin tokosilisa bitumba oyo Kabila ou bien Kabila okokota na banégociation mona tokosilisa problème na biso noki pe soki Kabila aboyi alors tokolongola ye.
Should we let one man, one genocider, disturb life of 50 million people? Is it fair for all these Congolese people to be disturbed by one man who is not elected at all, has never been elected?
Kabila, the unelected Congolese president, was once a rebel himself, but as president, he headed the MLC's list of enemies. New recruits quickly learned Mobutu was bad. But the man who replaced him, they say, is worse.
Tango toya liberateur, esete toyambinde zabu. Tango toya liberateur, esete toyambina toyambina ni zabu nani? Okay. Azali kotika kuna.
The recruits don't need too much persuading. Most have their own stories of life under Kabila. 2 years ago, Zemana was a school teacher.
C'était un bon jour, je suis entré de partir à l'école. Subitement, je suis tombé de donner le cours d'anglais dans la salle. J'ai vu les militaires qui sont arrivés dans l'école. Toutefois me demander, ou bien demander pourquoi, les militaires sont venus m'arrêter directement. Ils commencent à me frapper devant tous les enfants. À partir de là, j'étais tellement décidé de quitter l'école, en fait, d'être dans l'armée. C'est sans l'expérience que j'ai vécue lors de monsieur le président Kabila.
– 5,000 miles away in Belgium, Olivier Kamitatu is taking a welcome break from the realities of war. Olivier is second in command of the MLC, but he was born in Brussels and raised by his foster mother, Anne-Marie Engelbrecht. Like his own son, he was always football crazy.
Avant ça, donc je jouais là-bas le mercredi, l'équipe du collège. On jouait contre les autres collèges en fait. Et le week-end, je jouais dans le club du village. Toute la science, c'était le football.
Plus important que l'Afrique.
Beaucoup plus. Le football était sacré.
This is only the second time in a year that Olivier has seen Anne-Marie and his own children. For him, being an absent father is a situation that's all too familiar.
You know, my father was a politician, and it was very difficult in the beginning of the 60s. And when Mobutu took power, he sent my father in jail during several years. So that's the reason why, security, my father preferred to send children to Europe. That's the reason I sent all my children in Belgium.
And is it going to be the same for you?
Yeah, unfortunately. It's the same, just for the security and also for the education. It's very important.
Olivier grew up in this small Catholic community with its emphasis on family and duty. Today, on the 100th anniversary of his old school, he's brought face-to-face with the contrast between the values of his childhood and his own decision to go to war.
Ce matin, nous venons d'entendre quelques textes bibliques qui nous parlent également d'une vie passionnée. Une passion pour la dignité de l'homme et pour la liberté.
I think it's very important one day to stop, to think about the past and the future, and to see if what we are doing, if our sacrifice means something important, not only for my family, but also for my friends and the people in Congo. We need to install a new political order, a new political dispensation, democratic institutions. That's the reason why we are fighting. The real problem for our country is just to prove that we can also, as we have been educated in Belgium, in Europe, in contact with democracy, we must now play a major role in Africa to do the same, to give the same chance to Africans.
For Anne-Marie, Olivier's foster mother, the real problem is what happens to Olivier's children.
What is more important, the children or what? I remember Olivier's father in Zaire. He said he'd failed the important thing, the education of his children. I don't know if he's doing well or badly, but I see he's left behind.
It's early morning in Balite, the MLC headquarters in the far north of the Congo. There's no doubt here that Bemba is the man in charge. Surrounded by radios, faxes and satellite telephones, Bemba runs his movement as he once ran his business. Before starting the MLC, Bemba's interests ranged from coffee to air freight, from fish to a mobile telephone network. That's how he met Uganda's President Museveni.
In fact, when I was a businessman, I used to export fish from Uganda. But when this problem appeared with Kabila, President Museveni asked him to help us Congolese, to help me to liberate our country, to build an army.
But you're a businessman, you're not a soldier. Why are you leading a rebellion?
But you know, nobody born soldiers, nobody is born a politician. You become a politician, you become a soldier. And I think to be soldiers you need, of course, some training. That's what I got in Kisangani with some Uganda instructor.
Back from Belgium, Olivier Kamtatu resumes his role as Bemba's closest ally. They've been friends for 20 years since their time together at business school in Belgium. Now a single purpose unites them: to get rid of Kabila's government. But ideologically, they agree to differ.
Personnellement, mon idée personnelle, moi je suis un...
Personally, I'm a Christian of the left.
Je suis un chrétien de gauche. C'est pas très...
It's not very fashionable to say I'm a Christian of the left.
Je suis un chrétien de gauche. Ça veut dire que je crois...
Means I believe in the value of sharing.
Bemba est quelqu'un de droite qui pense...
Bemba is a man of right, who believes that private enterprise guarantees the development of the country.
Assure le développement du pays. C'est quelqu'un qui est fondamental...
He's wedded to the market economy and competition.
À la compétition.
It's a measure of Bemba's success. He's been able to attract a wide range of people to the MLC. For no pay. Peter Azabi in the MLC 9 months ago. Now he's the Minister of Health. His war uniform sits uneasily with his civilian calling.
So I'm taking out the uniform of the military and put certain... This is for killing, but this is to save. That's it.
J'ai pas tous les diplômes. Si vous devez ici, tout le monde a été content. Depuis je savais très bien. Mais j'ai chanté ça dans le PR. Ok, I focus. Ok.
Ça me dit que je suis médecin. C'est un travail que j'ai terminé. Mon père, qui est pasteur protestant, ne voulait pas qu'il soit militaire.
Today's operation is to move assist. Before he starts, the doctor leads his team in prayer.
Je suis allé travailler avec, dans le nord-est du Congo, dans des centres médicaux évangéliques tenus par les Américains, les Anglais pendant 6 années. J'étais là comme, j'ai eu la bourse de me perfectionner comme un fly doctor.
Like everyone else at the MLC, Dr. Asabi is coming to terms with new life as a rebel. He's still not sure how politics and medicine mix.
Il m'est difficile de vous répondre si...
Comes with his new life as a rebel. He's still not sure how politics and medicine mix.
Il m'est difficile de répondre si lesquels je...
It's difficult to say which of the two I prefer. We're busy liberating the country, helping each other. I've been minister since September last year. That's 9 months as minister, 18 years as a doctor. We'll just have to see.
Dr. Asabi will soon have his chance. Bemba is sending him to the front line to see for himself. It's dawn, Badolite, the MLC's base airport. The 3 Ukrainian mercenaries who fly the rebels' only transport plane are getting ready to take food and ammunition to the war zone. Among the passers today is Minister of Health, Dr. Peter Asabi. In the absence of telephones or effective radios, the only real way to find out what's happening is to go and see for yourself.
I'm going to assess the condition of the people in our charge. Civilians and soldiers at the front line. To see the food and health situation. That's what interests me most.
6 months ago, this Antonov transport was part of Kabila's Air Force, but a pilot landed by mistake on an airstrip just captured by the MLC. Bemba's soldiers seized the plane. Now it flies round the clock, carrying troops and supplies to MLC outposts scattered across this huge territory. It's a 2-day journey to the front, first by air, then by river. That's where the war is concentrated. In the absence of roads, whoever controls the rivers controls the Congo. The front is 200 kilometers downstream. Supplies are irregular. Along with the minister, the boats carrying flour, green beans, weapons, and 25 soldiers returning to their units. Everyone who joins the movement has a story. Dr. Peter Asabi was working for a mission hospital in government-held territory. One night, driving home, he was stopped by government troops.
They
said, if you resist, if you don't give us your car, we'll shoot you. Don't mess us around. Don't think that because you're a doctor, we won't kill you. I wet myself, that's how stressed I was. I'm a doctor, but I still couldn't control myself. They fired 2 machine gun rounds. They put a gun to my head and said, if you continue to resist, we'll shoot you. From the moment, I became a refugee. It's the rebels who protect. It's the opposite of what you'd expect. The whole population is here asking for protection.
A village along the way, the rebels stopped to pick up cache of weapons abandoned by government troops when they fled the area. A year ago, all the parties, including Kabila's government and the MLC, met at Lusaka in Zambia and signed a ceasefire. But it hasn't stopped the fight, especially on this stretch of road.
Ces fusils ont été récupérés dans les militaires de Kabila, le FAC Front. On a besoin de ça parce que nous sommes des rebelles. On n'a pas de l'argent, assez d'argent pour acheter des armes. Donc nous récupérons des armes chez Kabila. Avec ces armes, ça nous aide à faut continuer notre travail.
Et vous allez faire quoi avec maintenant?
Mais vous savez bien le travail des armes, c'est quoi? J'ai tout dit, c'est tout.
At an early morning stop comes a batch of even more important weapons, boxes of mortars. They're part of the continuing support for the MLC from Uganda. It's powerful propaganda for Kabila's government to be able to point to such foreign interference in Congolese affairs. It's a relationship that Bemba prefers to play down.
You know that most of the equipment, ammunition we captured was from Kabila. Do you know that when we captured in Badolite, we get 300 tons of equipment, bomb, ammunition?
But President, the mortar bombs that we sat on in the boat going down the river were marked from Uganda.
No. I don't know. If you read even in the boxes, is it from Uganda or is it for DRC?
What I'm trying to understand is how dependent militarily you are still on Uganda.
But do you know that what is 300 tons of ammunition capture? 300 tons of ammunition. It's million ammunition that I'm using until now.
Bemba may be evasive about the origins of his weapons, but he makes the most of one continuing source of recruits. At an MLC re-indoctrination center, 50 prisoners of war from Kabila army have given the opportunity to change sides. Commandant Lembia has qualms about putting them into MLC ranks.
When they come, they say, I was on the other side, but I've had enough, I want to join. There's no formality. They have to accept the code of conduct and ideology of the MLC. Then they are free to join.
These soldiers say that just before they were captured, they were part of a government unit that refused to go back to front. What happened next is part why they're ready to change sides.
Bakangi bango na basinga 8 personnes wana nde babomaki bango biso tovandika batango boye 8 personnes nako bata ba 2 mètres ezali musika te.
Les bâtons là-bas chantaient, les bâtons chantaient. Ils étaient aussi bandés. Bandés comme ça. Comme ça, comme ça. Comme ça, 8. Les bâtons chantaient. Après, on a tiré chacun 2 chargeurs. On tirait 2 chargeurs. C'est comme ça. Voilà.
Lobi famille na baye ko luka ba onka kawana. Baye ko tuna bam. Fulani azali. Toyebi ke ba bomier place. Et tozo ko basuko lobate pour soucier l'équipe.
In this war of shifting allegiances, some soldiers have served in 3 different armies. Luke Marenzi comes from a military family. In 7 years he's fought for Mobutu, Kabila, and now Bemba. Many of his friends have done the same, and they're in no doubt that they could drop Bemba just as easily as they dropped the others.
Dans l'armée de Kabila, on ne prenait pas les gens à leur place, ce que je vous ai dit. On négligeait d'abord les gens, on négligeait la population était maltraitée. Et les militaires de Kabila faisaient des tracasseries à la population. la différence dans l'armée de Bemba. Et je dirais bien que maintenant on veut tout changer. On veut tout changer. C'est-à-dire on veut corriger toutes les erreurs que faisait Kabila. C'est ça. Et l'armée n'est pas de Bemba. Et l'armée n'est pas de Bemba. L'armée c'est de la nation. Parce que si Bemba aussi fait mal, ou bien travaille mal, c'est la population qui aura une décision sur lui. Mais lui n'aura pas la décision sur toute l'armée. Ce n'est pas ça. Ce n'est pas vrai.
Because that's what even myself, I told them. You are not here to serve one man. Because serving one in the army is very dangerous. You are here to serve the people of Congo. Tomorrow, the army, the national army, will be national army for the people of Congo, what not for one man. What was the mistake with Mobutu time? What is the mistake with Kabila time? It is a private army.
The priority for the rebels is the war. In liberated areas, it is to the people to make of peace what they can. On his way to the front, Dr. Asabi visits a school. It was closed 12 months ago because of the fighting and reopened only recently. 2 weeks ago, the town was bombed by government planes. 2 bombs landed in a playground but didn't go off. It's the first time anyone's come from rebel headquarters. The teachers aren't paid and the MLC has nothing to offer. But Bemman isn't going to miss the opportunity to score a few political points.
Libenge oye! Mouvement de libération du Congo oye! Boyebi Kabila! Boye Kabila! Bolingi eh? Bolingi eh? Bomoni la koyo? Ezani? Bino so bobi bombe? Nana la kisibino bombe?
In this town, the MLC has brought peace but little else. The primary school, the problems are desperate. There are few textbooks, pens, or even exercise books. This teacher, like everyone else, gets no salary. He has to grow his own food in a nearby field. Each child is supposed to pay the teacher 10p a term for what are called motivation fees. But even it's too much for any parents.
Some children have been here since we came back and still haven't paid. If we throw them out, an innocent child will suffer. But because they haven't paid, it has repercussions on us. We suffer. We pray to God that the MLC reaches Kinshasa and afterwards gives us back some sort of life, because we're half dead.
2 days and nights after setting off down the Ubangi, the minister and his boat are approaching the front line. The minister's never been before. Luke's returning from sick leave. At daybreak, Commandant Alemia arrives to greet his political superior. It doesn't start well. He didn't know the minister was coming. Alembia organizes an impromptu visit to trenches, where fighting appears to be the last thing on anyone's mind. Keep the minister happy, a few soldiers climb into the trenches. But the last time they saw action here was 2 months ago.
We've got a fixed position. As you've seen, it's not just a month old. We've been there a long time. We've even planted vegetables. So every time they come after us, right up to here, they bomb every day, for days on end. We defend our positions and people. We can't leave them to the mercy of Kabila. We owe it to the population.
These refugees have just returned from across the river. It's safe to do so, they say, now that the MLC have ousted Kabila's men.
Ils nous ont pillé tout, on a brûlé. Même si vous voyez chez nous là-bas, il n'y a pas nos maisons qui restent. Ce sont seulement ces maisons ici. Toutes ces maisons, on a tout brûlé par le militaire de Kabila. Alors il n'y a pas moyen de s'asseoir. Ils ont tué les gens ici à 5 km, 17 personnes. Là, on prend l'homme, on te met d'appui, on te tue. C'est pour ça qu'on a fait. Et puis, le militaire de Bemba, quand ils ont venu, ils ont ressemblé tout le monde. C'est pour ça maintenant nous sommes libres d'aller au champ, prendre de quoi manger, tout ça.
With the war at a standstill, Bemba must open a second front. This time, 6,000 miles away on the streets of New York. After 2 years fighting, Bemba is beginning to see success on the diplomatic front. He sent his special envoy to New York to make the MLC's case at a meeting of the UN Security Council. Denis Kanku trained for the priesthood in Belgium, but now he's a leader. Like Bemba, Dr. Asabi, Olivier Kamitatu, Dominic is learning a job. He's never been to the UN before, or to America for that matter.
Are you nervous about it? Excuse me? Are you nervous about it?
Not at all. I'm relaxed. I'm fine. I'm not nervous at all, so I'm okay. I don't see why I can be nervous. There was a meeting in January. We weren't invited, so we found it unfair that we weren't invited. But this time we are invited. We are not here just to please people. We are here to explain what's going on. And I think that as the time passes by, people have come to know that the MC is doing a good job. So I'm very proud being here to represent the movement I belong to.
The UN's been pressing all those who signed the peace treaty at Lusaka to simply honor the agreement. Once there's a lasting ceasefire, the Security Council has promised 500 observers backed by 5,000 UN troops to keep the peace. But the ceasefire is proving elusive. Today, the Security Council is making one more attempt to bring warring parties together.
J'invite Monsieur Dominique Kanku, responsable des relations extérieures du Mouvement pour la Libération du Congo, MLC, à prendre place.
It's a crucial moment of recognition for Bemba's movement. But there's no chance yet for Dominique to stand and make his case. Instead, he quickly learns that recognition comes responsibility.
I say quite frankly today, in the presence of the Lusaka signatories, that, and particularly in this case, the Foreign Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the representative of the MLC, that we need to see a willingness on your part to halt the fighting.
Le non-respect des engagements pris par le gouvernement de la RDC dans le cadre de l'accord sur le statut des forces, mais aussi par les rebelles à travers des entraves au mouvement de la force, ne sont pas acceptables. Et sur le chemin du retour vers vos pays, vers l'Afrique, emmenez nos pensées et penser à 3 mots: la paix, la paix, la paix.
In the Congo, MLC patrol is off probe the government's front line. The UN accuse the MLC and the others of simply breaking the ceasefire when it suits them. The MLC argue they have no choice.
I heard one of the UN members saying that even if we are attacked, we have no right to respond. This is kind of telling us you have to suicide yourself. So we are not ready to commit any side. If they attack, we will respond and we will defend ourselves and the population, that's sure.
It's not only the soldiers of MLC who are fighting. It's also all the population. They don't want to see anymore the warplanes of Kabila over the Equator region. So they say now, Mr. Bemba, what are you going to do? You say, okay, you are a liberation movement. Why are you decided to stop now? Are you going to betray the movement and your population? And that's the reason why we are ready to fight.
So that means you're ready to break the ceasefire?
In order to protect the population, yes.
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
At the closing cocktail party at the UN, the civilians cannot conceal the frustrations. The UN demands a ceasefire, but the warring parties are not delivering. If Bemba and the others refuse to cooperate, they'll get no help from outside, says American Ambassador Richard Holbrooke.
Well, I think I said this already downstairs, but let me say it again. It's going to be much harder to get any country to send troops to Congo, and especially to Kisangani. Knowing it's going to be harder for us to get money for the operation as a result of this. And I'm sure you're going to have the same problem in the European Union. Because the world doesn't understand what happened there. And to ask the world to contribute forces is going to be harder to do.
Several hours later, Dominique Kanku still doesn't believe all he has heard.
If they don't come, it's not because they don't have means, as they pretend. They have means, they have money, this is sure, and they have whatever is required. You know, I just sometimes say, I used to tell people, nobody cares. If somebody cares, I think that UN should already be in Congo, but they don't care. That's my point of view.
They prefer to say, okay, let those Congolese fighting among themselves. They will find a solution, but they have no interest in Congo for the moment.
And if the UN don't come, what will happen?
I think it will be very difficult to find a solution by negotiations.
At a hospital in MLC territory, the latest victims of Kabila's air raids are being treated. The bombs are a simple but effective campaign by the government to persuade people the MLC cannot protect them. There are relatively few military casualties. Here, Peter Asabi sees 18 soldiers, most with shrapnel wounds. MLC won't admit how many they have lost in the war. This would be bad for recruitment. Further down the war is a different casualty, an MLC deserter. With other soldiers, he's tried to steal food from a village. The locals caught him and beat him up.
Quelle embuscade?
The other soldiers are less than sympathetic.
Nous sommes en train de déranger la population. Oui. Il est tombé, alors comme il était malade, n'a pas la force, alors on a fait ça. Excellence, nous sommes arrivés le dimanche et le lundi on a pris les bâtons.
Back in Badali, at Bemba's office, the minister comes to make his report.
Il
Asabi brings the unwelcome news desertion is a worse problem they thought. He tells of 30 deserters terrorizing villages. If the LC doesn't deal with them, local people will. It's bad for the MLC's image, and yet another problem the commander-in-chief.
Docteur Asabi a komona yo na retour na ye na bien mona yo apesa yo information concernant national na biso yo bakimaki na fond esika baza kosala ba désordre na bango o kamata esika bazali wana comme ça konsa équipe moko eute elongwe awa eki kuna esali kuna mosako désormais bango ata résistant directement avec elle. OK, ça va. OK. Ça va. En fait, c'est ça. OK.
Olivier Kamitatu and his president are having the evening off. Between them, they've made the MLC into a major player in the war for the Congo. If Bemba cedes, his vision will become the Congolese reality. He claims to have only the best intentions.
What I would like is to give the dignity back to the people. We will lose it with a dictatorship system put in place by Kabila and his group of people. That is really my only dream. If I can do it by myself, I will be very pleased. If another one can do it also, I will be very pleased also.
But pressed, Olivier concedes that his friend has ambitions for the top job.
Okay, Bemba will be the next president of Congo. Bemba will be the next president of Congo if MLC enter in Kinshasa. Okay, and yeah. It's quite easy to enter in Kinshasa by guns and to say, okay, I'm president now. It will be much more difficult to organize elections to be the next elected president of Congo or of Zaire. We just prove that we can organize something. Not only for the moment of the rebellion, but also for the future. So it will be a great challenge for us and for them, if we want to be the next elected president.
For the moment, Bemba is a law unto himself, and not subject to the discipline running for election. But he does depend on the support of his colleagues, and, more important, on the support of his unpaid, ill-equipped army. Kamara Lembi insists he will keep on fighting until freedom is won.
I will continue till the day I shave. I'll keep my beard until the day we win. Not just us, but when the people, when freedom triumphs. We have it, but they don't. To share their unhappiness, I'm keeping my beard until the day of freedom. Then we'll all shave. It'll be a big day.
The MLC frontline position on the river is only 4 days by boat from Kinshasa, the capital. Luke Morenzi is pleased to be back, but he has no way of knowing if that journey will take a few days or several years.
Je suis joyeux parce que je me retrouve avec mes camarades, mes collaborateurs et mes frères aussi.
Combien de temps pensez-vous que la guerre va durer?
La guerre? Ça, je ne peux pas savoir. Ça, je ne peux pas savoir. Parce que ce n'est pas moi le commandant de la guerre, ce n'est pas moi le Dieu tout-puissant, parce que Dieu aussi aide pour que la guerre avance.
Qu'est-ce que j'attendais?
Qu'est-ce que j'attends?
Oui.
J'attends que la paix soit en Afrique.
Laurent Kabila was regarded by many as the main obstacle to the Lusaka Accord. His son, the new president, has moved quickly to assure the international community that he wants to bring peace to his country. Whether that includes talking to the rebels remains to be seen.